Charlotte Soccer Show, World Cup Banter, day 3 of the Cup. I'm your host, Daniel Bramlett, here with my guy, Matt Geslin. Once again, it's another late night, a long night of data entry once I just got off my shift at the office, putting in scores. Manually, I need to work on my Excel skills. Matt, maybe you can help me with that. You're an Excel guy. Maybe you can figure out how I can automate this spreadsheet so we can get these out a little bit earlier. But how you doing tonight, bud?
Good, man. I mean, can't complain. Had a mini heart attack. We'll get to a little bit a little later as, Le Bleu kind of came out of the gates a little slow, but all in all, pretty good.
I see you repping the blue. I love it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well,
but yeah,
real quick, we're gonna get into the pool first here a little bit because there's a big news in the pool. But as a France fan, you have some vague claim to a French citizenship or something. I'm not 100% sure where that all comes from. But how did it feel today to see your boys go down 1-0?
Like I said, a mini heart attack. It was not an enjoyable experience, regardless if you kind of expected that to be the result or not. When you see Australia of all countries putting one up on the board on you.
Aussie.
Trust me, there's a story. I had an Aussie fan behind me in the bar, and all I heard in my ear was Aussie. Even when they were losing 3-1, it was still in my ear.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, we don't care. We had the lead at one point, so we're considering this a win.
That was very much I was told about that the entire day from that moment on. So no, it was good. It was all
Charlotte. Sorry, I pointed out to Adidas. We probably don't see that.
Hey.
Charlotte FC legend Riley McGree started for Australia, which was pretty cool. The greatest Charlotte FC player to never show up, actually make an appearance in a game, since we sold them off during after the pandemic, basically after we signed him, and then he played a year in the English Championship during pandemic while we waited to launch, and he did so well that he said, I don't really want to go to MLS. I think I'm going to stay over here.
Stay in this European thing over here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But let's bring up the pool real quick because there's a big day in the pool. We're going to talk about the action. 4 games, including, we haven't even mentioned one of the biggest upset in World Cup history, which we are going to get into. But I want to get into this pool a little bit here and start to show, because we have a big change. After 2 days up at the top for our guy, Jared Jackson, he's no longer there. He's no longer at the top. He's not even in the top 3 anymore. Sorry, Jared. You've dropped 3 spots to 4th with 86 points on the day. And that just wasn't enough on a day with some huge scores. You can see 140, 146, 110, 144. Big scores on the day. We'll get to the winner in a second for the daily prize. Cheryl Hahn with a huge climb up. Joby Passanante, AJ Giordano. 3 players in this pool who are the first to go over the 200-point barrier. So that's huge. I always like to make mark of the barrier, who's getting to certain point marks fastest, because this thing kind of, you go in jumps, you have a bad day. Let's look at Matt Geslin here, a man pretty well, in 7th place. Started the day in 7th, ended the day in 7th.
Just consistency right there, Dana.
Yeah, you went 4 points on day 1, 75 points on day 2, 115. And there's different.
We're peaking.
There's 1 game, 3 games, 4 games, so that changes things. But
absolutely,
4 games coming on day 4, so we might get a little bit more of a relative thing. But yeah, big news for Cheryl Hahn. Congratulations to you, Geslin. Movers and shakers. Obviously these guys are going to be some of the top moves, since they climbed so high up the leaderboard. They're also some of the top movers. Joby Passanante, AJ Giordano. If we look down, we hate to do it. We shout him out. He's our guy, John Hayes. He's a brilliant soccer mind. He obviously knows the game. He didn't really maybe analyze the scoring systems as closely as he could have so far, but we're still through 3 days. But as we noted, 3 managers have crossed over the 200-point barrier. John has not quite gotten to the 100-point barrier yet. He hasn't even gotten to the 80-point barrier.
It's a long way to go. It's a long way to go, as he would say. And, the spur in him would feel like there's still potential for them to come back. It's still, when the chips are down, Spurs don't start playing until the 50th minute. So this is kind of just his thought as well. And so we'll see.
And it's tough. It's tough to know where everybody really stands relatively until at least a 1 round through, and you've seen all the captains play, because the
captains are huge.
There's a lot of Mbappe, I believe, is the most captained player. It's either him or Neymar or Messi. I think it will probably turn out to be Kylian. I'll do those numbers a little bit, but Mbappe captains were huge on the day. And if we look, Cheryl Hahn, who's our first place leader now with a big 216 points overall, is only on the day is 1, 2, 3, 4 is the 7th best score on the day. So 7 scores over 140. It was Alex Monig, previous played in this pool every time that I've done it, I believe, going back to the 2010 World Cup. And I think Alex, if I remember right, I have to go through the archives. I think Alex won the overall pool. I think he's a grand prize winner in the past. I could look back through some previous Google sheets if I needed to verify that. But I know he's always competitive in the top, and he's right back here with a daily prize. Alex, I'll be sending you your daily prize after we finish taping this. Congratulations.
That's a big number, 150. But to your point, the captains are starting to show up. The big boys played today. The real points are starting to kind of come out and kind of move the table. You mentioned, kind of where things were for Johnny and not knowing how you felt, even though when your wife doubles you up on points, you kind of know.
How's that? The Hayes household side bet.
Yep.
Rachel at 152. Johnny at 77, so he's doubled up.
He's doubled up.
Almost doubled up.
So we got to get him out of the doldrums. But big day today, like you said. Another 4 games tomorrow, which we'll get to here a little bit later on. But
hopefully they're betting like some household chores or something. Something on this.
In that household, there's definitely something being bet on it for sure. But a really exciting day in the pool for sure, and kind of interesting to see how it really takes form when we have a full slate of games and the table's moving pretty fast, and it is interesting and makes it really exciting. I had no interest in any of the games until I realized I had Memo Ochoa in there making that save on the PK, and I get some points for that and a clean sheet, right? So it makes it exciting. It kind of gives you that extra level of interest for a game that you may not be interested in.
The funniest thing is Memo Ochoa became Memo Ochoa, I think, because like as soon as he saved the penalty, there was like a million memes going through the internet and all these posts about, World Cup Ochoa is the best goalkeeper in soccer history. It's like, he's just regular in club play, but when he gets to World Cup, Memo Ochoa is like a super
something goes on. Yeah, exactly. He is good though, but
if you look at Monig, our daily winner, he had Ochoa. He also had the Tunisian goalie, Ian Daman, who put up 15 points, which is pretty nice. He had, looks like, Eriksson had a really nice score. Eriksson, the most owned Dane.
I was going to say, between him and Kasper Schmeichel, that was like the 2 main guys for Denmark, which was pretty surprising. I mean, obviously, Eriksson being who he is and being the number 10 for that club. But Kasper Schmeichel is the second, that was pretty surprising to me. And not that there's really that much firepower on Denmark, but a lot of people's, favorites or high up there to go at least to the quarterfinals, and only 2 players taken really from that team is interesting.
So for me, the strategy I play this pool with is that I don't pick goalkeeper. I don't try to keep goalkeepers of teams that are going to advance. I want my 4 goalkeepers to be like teams that I don't expect to advance, to actually follow through on that. South Korea, Costa Rica, Australia, and Morocco. So I'm not really prioritizing goalkeeper too much. I think most people do that. See, Iran, Mexico, Senegal, and Tunisia are not. None of those are like super favorites to advance. So Monig also had the Messi captain. Messi had a nice game and a loss. We're going to get to that momentarily. And then he had Mbappe. So a lot of people have a Messi. A lot of people have Mbappe, but not everybody has Messi and Mbappe together.
So
that's a big issue that propelled Monig to the top. The 2 goalies putting over 10, and then Messi and Mbappe with a Messi captain. That was made it pretty easy work.
Yeah, I mean, Mbappe doing what he did today, even Messi, like you said, in a loss, which I still can't really believe I'm saying out loud. There's still a lot of room for both of those guys, and 30 points, even just without your captaincy, is always a solid score all around.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, 36 people picked Mbappe on their teams, 29 Lewandowskis, 23 Erikssons, 32 Messi. So Mbappe, so far, the most popular pick and has the highest amount of points. That goes pretty well together. Let me see how many people had Mbappe captain. 9 Mbappe France captains. So yeah, that's if you don't have those on a day where he plays, then you're going to fall behind. You're not going to really be competitive for the daily prize, which is that's one way to play this pool. You know, it's too late to make any changes to your roster, but
yeah, exactly. At this point, you just got to deal with it.
If you're gonna play it in the future, like one thing you can learn is like you can just play for the daily prizes and just like look at the schedule and stack like guys who are going to play together and play your big point getters on the of guys who are going to play on the same day. And it can go pretty well for you. So congrats again, Monica. Let's quickly live update the prize tab. We like to do that when we're on the video. How many points did Monica have? 150.94. Wow, amazing. Solid. I did pay John McCann yesterday, so we can update that.
You know what the scary thing, Danny Brams, is that France did what they did today without the Ballon d'Or winner, and Mbappe just took over and just said, you know what, we'll be fine today.
Yeah, it seems like France is really beat up, huh? As far as their team, like they've got a lot of injuries here right at the start of the Cup.
Yeah, it's about 6 starters to be 5 starters, 5 guaranteed starters, I would say, and then maybe you could kind of say, although he history making today, but you could theoretically have a contest between up front with Giroud and a couple other guys. So yeah, it's pretty big loss when you lose your entire midfield, 2 center backs.
It's tough to lose Benzema, but I got a thing for Ollie Giroud. I just, he's the most handsome man in soccer. He's a former Arsenal player that we never should have let go. He starred for Chelsea. He never really like hit his full potential at Arsenal, but I always liked him. And then he went to freaking Chelsea, which is horrible. So. And
he did. You know what he is? He's a good pro and a consummate.
He's a pro's pro. You gotta love it. You gotta love a good pro.
You gotta love him. He doesn't get the. When you told me no one took him in this pool or one person took him, I was stunned. I was having
nobody took him. Nobody took him.
I was having a hard time not taking him, but then of course you look at that French roster and you're like, how can you take him? But he's gonna. Well, hey, history again tied Thierry Henry for all-time French leading goal scorer. That's not saying, that's no slouch to do that. So, a career that has been under the radar, I would say, but 2 more goals today.
So I actually did my dumbass, like I'm probably have no chance to win the pool because I tried to go contrarian against Mbappe. And I was like, I'll take Griezmann instead of Kylian, he has the set pieces, maybe I think he might take penalty kicks over Kylian. So I'm like, let's see if maybe I can get a leg up on the competition by taking Griezmann. You see there's 3 Griezmann picks, 36 Mbappe picks. And Griezmann was looking pretty good until that late goal and assist. Antoine actually had Mbappe beat, but the game's 90 minutes and I made a big goof and it's going to really hurt my chance to win the pool. Shout out to the one person who picked Theo Hernandez, by the way.
Yeah, seriously. I was surprised when I saw that.
We're kind of going deep here on France sooner than we meant to. But yeah, Kevin Lane, nice work by you to take Theo. I don't know. The funny thing about that is that Theo subbed in, right?
I know.
Theo didn't start.
Well, so yeah, let's first of all, let's hope that his brother is okay.
Yeah, Lucas.
That looked pretty gnarly. And you never want to see a guy go down without contact like that, grabbing at his leg. So, hope he's okay. But yeah, to your point, he was a sub, and he gets, maybe the second, or he does get the second most points for the squad. So
yeah, well, he had the assist will always help you in this game. That's 6 points right there. And fullbacks tend to score really well in attacking situations. Like France was put into attack mode pretty early.
Absolutely.
And so the Theo starts racking up crosses. Crosses are what they give you like 7.7 points, like 0.7 of a point. And then if the cross is accurate and leads to a shot, like a header or a shot, then you get a bonus point. So it's like 1.7. So you get a few of those and you can rack up points pretty quick.
But you brought up a good point though, with being contrary. And there's, as you kind of look into it and you get deeper into the tournament, that's how you have to play it, right? Is like, who are the odd guys that, maybe you get only 2 other guys pick it. So out of the 42 other folks, you've gained 39 spots or, got that one player. So like, and it's an odd player, right? Like, who picked Rabiot? Nobody.
Thankfully, nobody.
But he had a goal.
Props to the pool. At least everybody's sharp enough to not take Rabiot, who was good today, but it would have been a horrible pick.
Exactly. But it's like one of those odd things where you just kind of have to go contrarian. And, tomorrow's players, there's a lot of guys like that, especially on, Spain and Germany, where it's like there's such a toss up of who you could take. England, we talked about it last night too. Is Phil Foden going to get you enough minutes? Like you have to kind of find those diamonds in the rough, but they also have they have to play for you too. So it's like, and I love the idea when we were talking about the pool, like, and I messaged you, I was like, wait, every country has to be picked. And you're like, yes. And I was like, oh, well, that changes the whole thing, So
exactly.
It makes it so much more interesting for sure.
Yeah, and it's like it just guarantees that everybody in the pool always has the same amount of players going each day, and just
Exactly.
The elegance of like the rules of how to build your team in the pool. I love it.
Yeah.
Just full disclosure, I stole this whole entire format from a guy that I used to work with at ESPN who would do a tournament exactly like this for the NHL playoffs.
Okay.
And I was in his NHL playoffs pool, and he's like, yeah, you pick one person from every team, and here's the position. You have to fill out these positions. Like, oh, that's brilliant. I can do that for the World Cup. And so,
hey, it doesn't matter where you came from. So,
yeah, exactly. So, okay. So we will talk a little bit, big games tomorrow. Obviously, if we look real quick, Germany, Japan, Spain, Costa Rica, Morocco, Croatia, Belgium, Canada. Those are huge. There's huge players in the pool and in the World Cup in all those games. And I can't wait to watch them. But we have now gone, by my account, 16 minutes. We haven't talked even really about the most important thing that's happened in the World Cup all day. And if not, maybe in recent World Cup history, if not all-time World Cup history, look at this result. Argentina won, Saudi Arabia 2, and it was a comeback win.
Yep.
Argentina had the lead.
Yeah, it was a tough, and to your point, this might not just be the biggest. I love the pool. This is biggest news of the day in the sports world, period. Not even the World Cup. I mean, Argentina, arguably one of the favorites, if not the favorite to win the tournament. Lionel Messi, my pick as well. Lionel Messi, the greatest player to ever play the game. We can argue and have that argument. Whoever wants it, I'm happy to. And they take the lead on a penalty by Messi, of course. They look good. They're attacking. Lautaro Martinez has a goal disallowed, off VAR. I mean,
big pool implications there as well.
Absolutely. I mean, just dominating the first half. But as we've seen, and as is always the case in soccer or football, Danny Brams, if you don't kill the beast, it's going to come back and bite you. And that's what happened in the second half. Saudi Arabia, 2 quick goals right out of the gate, back to back, snag 3 points like that. And all of a sudden the world is turned upside down.
Yeah. And it was a shocker right there. You see, if you look here, right off the top of the bat, and it just looked like a type of thing that like Argentina was, I wouldn't say they were sleepwalking. They really did try. They just got caught kind of sleepwalking out of the half. I mean, they were dominant in the first half. They played their game. They won pretty nice. Messi got the early penalty. Lautaro had the goal that looked like it could have counted, but VAR got him. There's no real concern. It's like, we're a little sleepy. We probably should have 2 goals by now at half instead of only 1. But let's go out and just put this game to bed and see if we can tune a few things up. But they came out of the half sleepy, and then all of a sudden, boom, boom, you get hit twice.
It's
like, oh shit! Now we've only got 35 minutes, and we have to go score 2 ourselves. And
exactly.
It's like, but then you're behind, and so then Saudi Arabia can just park the bus. And if you look at my beloved momentum meter here, you can see. I mean, look at that from about the 55th minute on, it is just pure Argentinian possession.
Yeah, and that's what you expected, right? Even like I said, this game was always going to be kind of the same way on the momentum meter. Like you mentioned, I think the best way to describe it was a little 5-10 minute sleepwalking moment, and they got caught. And that can happen in a tournament like this, and you have to be careful. And it puts them behind the 8 ball. Now, the good thing for Argentina is they are still Argentina. Obviously, 36 games in a row without a loss going into this game. So they have that pedigree.
Loss had to happen sometime, right?
It had to happen at some point, right? And also the group isn't that strong. We saw that in the Poland-Mexico game. Not really like someone's going to stand out there and dominate and take control of this group. So, Argentina going to come out firing.
I think Argentina could still win the group.
100% agree.
Pretty easily. I think they'll win the next. They'll be able, with this wake-up call, they should be able to beat Mexico and Poland, who neither of those teams impressed us, I don't think.
Agreed.
And then the Saudis could easily finish on 5 points or even 4. you know, and then Argentina can get 6 points and win the group. We'll see.
Hey, I mean, the way that I watched Saudi Arabia play and the way I watched Poland play, that's a toss-up. I mean, Saudi Arabia could get 3 points. That's 6 points. I mean, that's almost game over for Mexico, for whoever comes out of that Mexico-Argentina game as well. And so that's going to be an absolutely massive game I think they play on Saturday. It's going to be absolutely vital to see, you know, luckily they'll have a little window. They'll be able to see what happened in the other game, but man, if Saudi Arabia can pull off the upset again, that's going to make this group really, really interesting for Mexico and Argentina.
Yeah, let's check real quick who the Saudis play next. They've got Poland.
Yeah.
Poland, I don't know. I don't really want to spend too much time talking about Mexico, Poland. It was a really nice save by Memo to get the PK save. I thought Lewandowski kind of, he'd never missed a penalty before for Poland ever. So this was, I think, 12 for 12, if I heard the announcer correctly. So again, streaks have to end. Argentina's win streak has to end. Lewis penalty make conversion streak has to end. Streaks don't go on forever. So just kind of unfortunate that it happens on these huge stages, you know?
Exactly. And obviously the fourth game that we haven't touched on yet, Denmark, Tunisia, another one of those sleeper kind of World Cup games where you're just kind of like, meh, you know, snoozer as we call them, where just kind of fall asleep on your couch, a scoreless draw. Nothing that really stood out. Obviously, Denmark being the superior team, maybe a surprise for some. But you know,
I don't know that Denmark was the superior team. That's the one thing.
I didn't think so either.
I think a lot of times Jabali, the striker for Tunisia, had a couple early chances to like put this thing put Denmark in real danger before he subbed out of the 80th minute. Jabali was nice, only a 6.5 rating on Sofa, but he had some chances. And so I think there's sort of this tendency in soccer to just assume that like the European teams are always the best.
Yes.
And Tunisia's no slouch. You know, Tunisia knows what they're doing. Tunisia has some solid players, not household names, but a couple of these guys play for big clubs in Europe, and they got pride. And you know, the African nations, especially the North African nations, a lot of these guys interact with the European players in their pro leagues like all the time. So they're not intimidated. So I wasn't super surprised by this draw necessarily. I did think Eriksson would have been a little bit more effective. That's the one thing I'd have to say. And I did think that there was a penalty at the end. They had a penalty shout overturned in 90 plus 4 at the end. And I think Eriksson probably would have buried I think he would have taken the penalty. I think he would have buried
absolutely.
It. You know?
Absolutely the penalty taker for that Danish team. To your point, I think, you know, I was talking with a buddy of mine about the bet, you know, they're obviously, you guys are big bettors too, but the odds were such, you know, favorite for Denmark. And I said to him, look, yeah, I get it, but this isn't the Premier League where it's week in, week out city versus, you know, name your team at the bottom, where the widespread makes sense. You know, this is the World Cup. Like you said, it's the 32 for this season, best teams in the world that are playing with the best players. You know, anyone can give anyone a game. You know, we saw it. Australia took the lead against France. You know, that doesn't, you know, that happens in the World Cup. Saudi Arabia beat Argentina. It happens. You know, Spain lost in 2010. You know, it's that type of tournament. And that's what the beautiful game is. And that's why we all watch it, why we enjoy it. And there'll be surprises tomorrow. There'll be a surprise on Friday and or Thursday, and maybe hopefully a surprise on Friday. We'll see. But, you know, there's always one that sneaks up and gets you. And so no team is ever out of it or too much of a, you know, a walkover. It's not, they got here on merit. They didn't just get here because they just wanted to show up at the World Cup. So I
think it's going to come down to a battle between who can beat Australia the worst to advance.
Agreed.
You know, it's going to. I think it'll come down to goal differential between these two teams. So
agreed.
I wouldn't put it past Tunisia to advance still at this point.
No, I wouldn't either. And I think France. You know, we were talking with a buddy at the bar who's an Australia fan. I didn't think that they existed even in football. And but he, you know, we talked. They scored too early, almost in a half joking way. You know, they woke up. They woke us up, and you know, and like you said, now it's, you know, unfortunately for them, It's been a nice run. They're not the greatest football nation, of course. That's not their main sport. So when they get here, they're
and
happy.
they're playing without sort of like their golden generation of like Tim Cahill and all the
over
guys
with.
that played on
So
like some of these tough Australia teams in the past is
absolutely.
gone. I've
Yeah,
seen some rating systems that called Australia the worst team in this tournament,
I wouldn't be
behind
surprised.
except for Qatar, excuse me. So
Yeah, yeah,
Qatar the worst team in Australia, the second worst team. So
yeah.
I
It'll
don't
be
know. I don't
interesting.
necessarily agree with that. Their goal was pretty nice. I don't
It
know. You had
was
to be
yeah,
sweating
good
at least
finish.
for a few minutes.
Good finish. Yeah, and again, player goes down, gets hurt. Another thing you don't want to see, and then a
Mm-hmm.
goal in the first 7 minutes. But it wasn't. It was never kind of that moment where it was like, okay, this is going to end. That's very typical French, where it's like, okay, let's make this very difficult, and we'll squeak
Mm-hmm.
one out at the end, or we'll screw this up, and we'll discredit the team and just look them over and lose. So very standard, but pulled it out in the end. And I think to your point, it's about who's going to beat up Denmark, Australia. And I think Christian Eriksen's going to have a field day, and Tunisia can they put a couple?
But yeah, just with the style, I see Denmark is playing kind of like this slow, just grinded out style. I could see Denmark winning 1-0 and Tunisia winning 2-0 and advancing. Tunisia was playing a go after it, create chances, much more dynamic style for me. So
definitely.
we'll see how it goes. We're running out of time here, but I want to say real quick, as far as Poland and Mexico goes, one big issue that I had was no Karol Swiderski. We're here for the crown always. It is the Charlotte Soccer Show is our home base for this World Cup banter feed, and we support Charlotte FC in the World Cup. And I'd like to think Karol, maybe he can give Lewandowski a few pointers on how to take PKs in training or something like that. That's kind of a joke, but I would have loved to see Karol. It wasn't. We were talking like you and John and I were talking through text as this match was going, and it was like, in a 0-0, that's not really a situation where you bring Karol Swiderski in, right? Like you kind of, he's more like if you're chasing the game, you you bring him in to sort of create a spark. And in this, once Lewandowski missed the PK, it was almost like they were playing for the draw, right?
Yes and no, because I think also the way that Poland were playing, they could have used Karol's flair. To be honest, there was no style and no system of play for Poland, which is why they were so difficult to watch today. It was really just punt it up the field, hope for Lewandowski to win that first ball in the air.
Maybe Zielinski does something.
Or have someone come in and go and collect that second ball behind you. There was nothing. So having Karol maybe come in like the 75th minute would have been a difference, just to give him something different. Collects the ball kind of in that midfield section, plays off Lewandowski a little bit. So, I think Poland was tremendously poor. If they play like that again, it's going to be a short-lived tournament for them. So, got to try something new. Maybe they'll get him on the field next game for sure.
Well, things will change. Obviously, the teams. The World Cup is interesting. Like things change rapidly. There'll be a lot of like different lineups from game one to game two for a lot of these teams. Hopefully for the United States, especially. But we'll see how it goes. France looks amazing. Poland looks kind of weak. Maybe Poland will look a lot better in their next match, and we'll be like, oh, Poland's actually pretty good. So who knows? It all kind of goes game to game in this situation, and I don't know, but right now, you know what? I have no reason. I'm still not moving off my pick of Argentina to win the tournament. I know it would be rare. They did make the final. They lost their first game in 1990 with Maradona on the team and made it to the final and lost.
Yeah, and I told you the last team that won it from losing the first stage was Spain in 2010. They lost the opening match and won the tournament. So, there's still potential. Tomorrow is a big thoroughbred day. Danny Brams. Germany's playing. Spain's playing. Belgium's playing.
Croatia's playing.
Yeah. So, anything that stands out to you for tomorrow, or obviously we're all
excited to see De Bruyne. Excited to see what Germany can. Germany's kind of like Bayern, but without a striker. So I'm excited to sort of see like how that goes. Like that. Choupo-Moting has scored 1 billion goals for Bayern this year. Lewandowski spent the last several seasons pouring in goals. So, and like it's like the Bayern midfield and the defense, but they don't have the same like tip of the spear that Bayern Munich normally has. So they're still the Germans. They'll still be fine. Timo's going to be okay, I think. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm actually not that big on Spain this year, so I'm anxious to see if I'm proven right or wrong on being down on Spain. So
fair enough. I'm looking forward to the Canadians, team from the Great North. Can they give Belgium a run? Sleeper team, in my opinion. Alphonso Davies is an absolute animal. If you have not watched him play, please watch this game tomorrow if he's fully healthy. But yeah, it's going to be another great day of football, Danny Brams. I will probably not get up for this 2:00 in the morning game, but I may try and get up for Germany. But otherwise, I will see you tomorrow.
That plan made you miss the biggest upset in World Cup history.
I know, but we'll see. Maybe I'll try and get up for it. But
keep doing the same thing, expect different results, and see what happens. But
exactly. Either way, we'll still be here tomorrow night. I'll see your face. We'll still chat about it, and we'll see how we do in the pool as well.
For the cup, baby.